They share the longest land border in Africa, but the Democratic Republic of Congo has threatened to take international action against Angola for expelling over 300,000 illegal migrants. Some 30,000 of these are reported to have been brutally kicked out of the country, and some have been killed. Angola responded that they targeted foreign nationals suspected of diamond smuggling and have even claimed that they left voluntarily. Africa Today asks how these latest allegations will affect relations between the two neighbours.
Several years ago, footage like this was a regular cause of embarrassment for Angola. And according to a report by the DRC cabinet, chaired by President Joseph Kabila, Angolan authorities are again committing violence. The latest violent crackdown is claimed to be on artisanal diamond mining, and the country has expelled thousands of Congolese citizens. Dozens are reported to have been killed, an accusation that Angola strongly denies. The country is the world's fifth largest diamond producer, and the operation that it's launched has expelled hundreds of thousands of people in just a few weeks. Angola itself estimates the expulsion at just over 380,000. The claim is that the migrants are involved in digging for precious stones in the northeast of the country, a diamond hotspot, and a key asset for attracting more private investment. Not a reasonable justification as far as the UN is concerned.
These were migrant workers who were working in the mining sector, and for us it's really worrying because mass expulsions are not allowed. They're prohibited under the African Charter on Human and People's Rights as well, and also the treatment these people have received on both sides of the border, inside Angola and inside the DRC, reports of human rights abuses.
When Congolese migrants fled to Angola, they did so in the hope of security and stability. They started to build lives for themselves. Many have been living there for over 10 years. They are now describing how they're being brutally expelled from the country. Those who crossed back to the frontier town of Kamako said that their houses were emptied and burnt to the ground by police and gangs of Angolan youths, and some were attacked with machetes and beaten as they fled. As migrants are forced to return to their home country, they will struggle with access to food, water and shelter. The crisis for the people of the Congo looks set to continue.
Hello and welcome to Africa Today with me, Idil Osman. Now, the number of Congolese migrants reporting beatings, lootings of their properties and forced expulsions is growing, but the Angolan authorities strongly deny that the crackdown has a xenophobic character. So how else can these allegations be explained, and what does it mean for relations between the two neighboring countries? Here to discuss these questions with me and much more are publisher of Africa Briefing magazine, John Ofeansa, and activist and founder of Kitunga ya Mboka, Francine Mukwaya Sodi. Francine, let me begin with you. Thank you both for being with me. What I want to know is what is at the heart of this crackdown? What are the issues at the core of it? We've had reports from the state minister who's in charge of this crackdown, Pedro Sebastião, saying that the migrants left voluntarily. But obviously that's going against the accounts of the migrants and the DRC government itself. So what do you think are the issues at the core of this?
Thank you so much for inviting me, Faith. I think what I believe is what many Congolese people and obviously any human being is what they've been treating Congolese in Angola is no one should be treated the way they treated them. And many of these Congolese, some of them were born there, they are Angolan citizens. And they know all of them are immigrant, like Angolan government is saying. It's okay for them if they want people who are not obviously legally there to leave the country, they should have done it in a way supposed to be, not the way they have to kick Congolese people. And
yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? It's the vicious nature of it that is more problematic than the expulsion itself, right? Although the expulsion itself is problematic.
It is problematic because when I look at it back, Angola been in war for 26 years, and then many Angolan people. I was born in Congo. I remember the city I was born. We had so many Angolan refugees. We treated them as a brother and sister. Consider the historical. We share the two countries. We used to be a kingdom of Congo, and many tribes you find in Angola, you see those tribes in Congo. So the treatment is really, for Congolese people, is unacceptable because the way we treated Angolan people for many years, some still living in Congo, they consider themselves Congolese. For us, it's like brothers and sisters treat you really bad, and really many Congolese I spoke with, and many who are left the country, I mean Angola, who are Angolan citizens originally from Congo, is if you speak with them, they still can't believe how can a brother and sister treat you that way. And when I look at I blame Congolese government. I do blame Congolese government because...
In what way?
In a way that they're irresponsible government. They are, because when you look at some of Congolese who left from Kasai, central part of Congo, who is also border with Angola, they left because of the crisis the government in Congo created. So, and then they left for security in a badly country. And then now they're kicking them back to Kasai. The crisis is still going on in Kasai. So they kick them out of Angola in the Lunda North precisely, and they have to go back to Kasai and Occidental Kasai, where there's still instability and crisis.
Yeah, and there's
on.
reports that I want to bring you in, John.
Yeah.
I mean, there are reports that there is an imminent crisis, that is about to take place. There's going to be shortage of food. There's going to be shortage of water. Shortage of accommodation. So, how do you think this is going to affect the ability of DRC to actually accommodate for these returnees, particularly now that elections is looming? So there are political consequences as well.
Yeah, the expulsion, is going to rather exacerbate an already, bad situation in that part of DRC. Okay, I mean, like Francine said, some of these so-called Congolese, went to Angola as refugees because of political and civil and other conflicts within that part of DRC, right? So again, there's a bit of unrest, civil political unrest in that part of the country. So their exposure to that place, right, is going to exacerbate it. And again, we have reports of security personnel in the DRC trying to exploit, these, refugee or these expelled, Congolese from Angola. So the situation is a bit dire. It's very delicate. That needs some rather, adept.
How are they being exploited?
Like, they're exploited, usually extorting money from them, and so on and so forth. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised even if the exploitation, goes further into physical, or maybe even sexual abuse. I wouldn't be surprised, but I hope that doesn't go that far.
One of the things that I'm concerned about is that this crackdown has also accommodated or has included local gangs and people that have been in that region and have feeling some kind of resentment towards the migrants, and particularly those that were working in the mining industry. There's reports of them saying that we hate the fact that they have flashy cars and there's these displays of wealth that they've been shoving in our faces. And so these kind of rhetorics I find really problematic, but the fact that they can then be absorbed into a crackdown and that allows the local gangs to then go and loot and carry machetes and attack people with it, do you think that then makes things a lot worse?
It does make a lot of worse. Look, we all know, that the Congolese can be rather a bit ostentatious, with all due respect, no offense intended. and they work hard, and they try to flaunt, their wealth. Okay, and this creates, like you said, resentment amongst the local or the indigenous population. But what I believe the government is trying to do is to sort of clean up, the illegal, activities, illegal diamond mining, illegal diamond smuggling taking place in that part of Angola. Look, we had
so why are they targeting the Congolese migrants specifically? I mean, that really has
it's
xenophobic kind of undertone.
What the government is trying to do, is giving rise to xenophobia. You mentioned resentment, amongst the Angolans of the Congolese. So now that the government is trying to, expel, and I don't think, expelling them is the right way to go about it. Like I was telling Francine in the green room, that look, they need to maximize, revenue from diamonds. Angola is the 5th biggest producer by volume, and the 4th by value in the world. Okay, they need to, maximize their revenue. But in order to do that, they don't have to expel those people. They are there. So all you have to do, right, is to
So why would they do that?
Regulate. I don't know why. Is to regulate. Make sure you register every single artisanal diamond miner in the area, right? Let them pay taxes. Let them sell their stones to the government, right? Okay. That's all number one.
I want to bring in Francine. Yeah. Francine, there's like you mentioned, there's a long history of a relationship between Angola and Congo. There has been a close political relationship between the two countries as well. We know that the father of the current president, Laurent Kabila, was actually helped by Angola when there was an attack of a Rwanda-backed rebel group. So what do you think has happened recently that may have frustrated Angola?
I believe definitely because of President Kabila. We all know his term ended in 2016, and they didn't want to step down or organize elections. And we know Congo is one of the strategic countries in Africa, is in the heart of Africa. And then with 9 neighbors, what's happening in Congo not just affect those 9 neighbors, or Africa in general. So for Angola and government, Kabila shouldn't be, because he's still president. Till now, I'm talking about, we are talking.
But he's agreed to step down now, isn't it?
The thing is,
so why a crackdown now after Kabila has agreed he's not going to participate in the upcoming elections?
This election is going to cause a big chaos than ever. We've seen it's going to cause a big chaos because the person he chooses is his uncle. So it's going to be the same regime, the same people, and Kabila will still be there manipulating because the person he chooses got sanctioned all over. He was one of the biggest killers in Congo because when he was a minister of interior ministers. So, and the people, majority of Congolese people really don't like him. It's like continuity of Kabila's regime. It's just, Kabila's just going to be there controlling. Right. And apart from that, the electronic machine they choose. We all know what happened in Kenya after the electronic machine. So they want to implement that in Congo, in the country where there's no a lot of, we have an issue of electricity and internet connection. So how are they going to manage that? The country size of Western Europe. All this, Kabila choose that Dauphin because it's just to calm down international community, but it's gonna still be there because he's going to be he's gonna take over the Senate Parliament, which is like a second in command after the president. Why the person is going to be president? Ramazani Shadar is his family member, so he's still going to be the same. So it's still going
to have the same kind of conditions that Angola is clearly not happy about.
I remember commenting on this, earlier this year, in the summer, that the interior minister, the guy you mentioned, I forgot his name, is the interior minister. Chosen by, and he has EU sanctions against him. He cannot travel to the part of the EU, and so on and so forth. So what people like me believe is that Kabila is going to be, the new guy is going to be in, and Kabila is going to be the puppet master, pulling the strings for the background. But in any case, according to the DRC constitution, Kabila can stand for elections again in 5 years' time.
Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll get to that when we get, if that happens in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
What I would like to know is, you're a political economist. There seem to be economic undertones of this crackdown. Angola is saying that they're trying to clear the place for, in order to attract private investment and to increase the revenue that the government can make from that. Now, that is in and of itself not a wrong objective to have, but why do they have to do that in such a vicious way and also disturb the relationship between the two nations in that way? Because obviously this is not going to lead to any kind of downplaying of the tension. In fact, it's likely to grow into it. So why is there such a focus on using the migrants for economic incentives?
Yeah, that is what, usually these things do happen. Look, we've had such experiences in my country, Ghana. It happened in the 1970s when a lot of Nigerians were expelled by the then Buzia government, which actually more than 1 million Nigerians. Right? And in the 80s, mid-80s too, a lot of Ghanaians in Nigeria too were expelled, more than 1 million. Okay, and that caused a lot of economic problems in Ghana. So these things do happen. But what my beef with it is that it is the mode of implementation. Okay, I mean, you don't need, it doesn't require rocket science to know that, look, these people, like Francine said, these people, some of them are even considered themselves to be Angolans. Some of them were born there, right? So
essentially, these are the same communities, aren't they?
So it's
the same people.
So it's a question of regulating, right, these artisanal manners. We had it in Ghana even recently. There were a lot of artisanal gold miners. We call them galamsey in Ghana. I mean, whose activities were damaging the water bodies, the environment and everything. And again, some of them colluded with some Chinese, right? And the current government, when they came to power last year, took measures, to clean up the Galamsey Act. So it's been virtually cleaned up now in Ghana. So I believe, Angola could have taken a cue.
It's similar to blood diamonds, isn't it?
Could have taken a cue from that. And again, Angolan diamonds too most of them are actually blacklisted. Okay, so to make your diamonds more acceptable on the world market, you have to go about it in a very sound manner. Like I keep using the word regulation. Regulate, register every single artisanal
Well, ironically,
manner.
The whole operation is called transparency.
But it is not transparent enough from where I am sitting, you see. And again, so when you do that, it gives rise, you mentioned the word resentment. It gives rise to resentment among the indigenous Angolans who see the Congolese, successful Congolese miners flaunting their wealth. So naturally, xenophobia will set in. And
what I find particularly problematic is that the Angolan government is taking advantage of that. I mean, we've seen similar conditions or similar issues happening in South Africa, for example, where you had an increase of Somali migrants, Eritrean, Ethiopian migrants coming in, setting up businesses, particularly Somali migrants. And then you had the local South African population attacking and looting those stores.
That's right.
And then you had the South African government that wasn't really doing anything about it. So what I find, really problematic is I don't put blame at the people's doors. People have the government to look after them, and then you can implement rights and responsibilities, right? But when you have a failure of a government stepping in and doing the right thing, it's almost like the people are left to their own devices.
That's right. So this is where the Angolan government has failed. I know, look, it's a new president in office, I think, for about a year or so now. And I was telling Francine in the room that, look, if Dos Santos, the previous president, was in power, this might not have happened. Okay, but João Lourenço, the current president, is trying to clean up, from the top to the bottom. Arrested the president's son, relieved the president's, Dos Santos' son, relieved the former president's daughter of key positions she held. I mean, a whole lot of things. So, but in trying to do so, in trying to sweep clean, you get overzealous, and that ruins everything.
And that's exactly, so getting the timing right is one thing. Francine, I want to bring you in. What do you think is the human cost of all this crackdown. So you have the 380,000 is a staggering number that, you know, go from one country and then flood into, even though that is their native country. But what I'm trying to understand is how much that kind of influx that comes so suddenly is going to have an impact, particularly from a human perspective. What do you think?
Looking at humanitarian crisis, because in that part of the country, they already have malnutrition due to the crisis in Kasai, Kamako is in Kasai. So I'm seeing, and also consider the government we have, irresponsible government, sorry for my term, but that's the fact. I'm looking at, there will be malnutrition, there will be a lot of diseases, there will be a lot of things, because the government, since the people start moving back to Congo, they're not doing anything. And this is the same crisis we faced 3 years ago with Congo Brazzaville. They kick out all Congolese people, whether you are, obviously you are legal in the country, they kicked them out and they were living in Kinshasa, sleeping on the in the street. So the government didn't do really anything because their mind is just to stay in power. So I really, as a Congolese person, I really feel for the people in Congo, and specifically in that part of the Congo, because there is already crisis there, and with all these people go there, the same place where there's crisis, there's malnutrition, there's diseases.
Now, final question to both of you, and we're running out of time, but I'm really conscious about, you know, how to move forward. So, what can be done to deal with this matter by both Angola and DRC, and how can the tensions that have now obviously been created quelled?
I believe it's dialogue. Look, Angola and DRC have a long history. Okay, already the DRC authorities have summoned the Angolan ambassador in Kinshasa, you know, to ask. And
they've threatened international action, haven't they?
Yeah. So, and if this is don't stop, I mean, maybe the AU or some of the regional bodies might have to step in. They're already the UN Human Affairs Commissioner also has also come in to condemn the actions of the Angolans. So I believe eventually, I'm not sure this one is going to escalate to an unbearable level. I believe the international community, the AU and others, will have to step in to sort out this mess. Yeah.
Francine.
For me, I believe Angolan government should look back. You should look back at our history. We are the same people. We have a strong bond and history. They should look at that. Consider that we are going through a very difficult crisis. We've been 20 years of war, and we are in a state they were before, and we look after them and the state where they were before. I think they should be a brother's keeper. They shouldn't treat us like an outsider. We are the same people. Consider the government we have. I don't really trust the government we have in Congo, because their mind right now is election and stuff. They don't really care about the people.
Maybe that's why Angola positioned it at this moment, isn't it?
Because but DRC the people are victim. Just Congolese people are victim. For them to project, we believe they're doing that also to cheat Kabila regime, but we are victim. Congolese people are victim. By doing that, they actually maltreating their own. So they, for me, the president John Lorenzo should think and also try to put
take a brotherly approach.
Yeah, order in police, because most of people, not just the local, specifically Angolan police, they've been the one being physically, even sexually
So the
abusing.
government really needs to rein that in, and that's a good point to end on, Francine. But that is all we have time for. That is the end of our program today. Tell us on Facebook whether you believe Angola's claim that 380,000 migrants left voluntarily is anything to be believed. Thanks to my two guests here, John Ofeansa and Francine Mukwaya Sodi. And thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Press TV. Bye for now.